Hi, everyone. It's a little dark, so I'm going to try to turn on a light and see if that helps some. This is Andy. I'm Rain, and together we are the
The
I
I
Wonder
Wonder
Sisters.
Sisters.
This is a video for those of us in our Bold Love class, session 5, describing yourself. So let me see if I can fix the light a little bit and then we'll move forward.
Didn't do much. We should be facing that way.
Well, I can at least see myself now. That's a little bit better. Not much, but a little bit better. So anyway, welcome. As I said, this is a part of exploring the shadow aspects of oneself. It's a class called Bold Love that helps you to love yourself wholly by exploring your shadow aspects. This is session number 5, describing yourself. Um, Andy, can you slide in just a little bit more? Okay. All right, great. Okay. So we have a few things that we want to discuss about this aspect of the class because all of us were seeming to have a struggle with actually completing it and actually describing to ourselves who we really are. And so we want to just go through some notes so we don't forget anything. So if you see me glancing at a piece of paper, that's why. Okay. So first we want to talk about why is it so hard to describe yourself? Why is it so hard for us to describe ourselves? A lot of people in the class struggled with this particular exercise, and so did we, as a matter of fact. And so we're trying to help everyone along, including ourselves, so that we can continue to integrate the shadow aspects of ourselves into the whole. And so Andy and I talked a little bit this morning about why it was so difficult to describe ourselves. And one of the points that I mentioned was that it is for me a bit difficult to go within lots of times. I'm so focused on the outer world and understanding the outer world and the cosmos and other people and other things that I often forget about what's going on inside of me and what's going on with me personally and who I really am. And also, I find that I am not paying enough attention to my changes as I grow older. Um, the parts of myself that are actually evolving and growing and just transforming. Even things like what it means for me to have fun. I'm finding that it is difficult for me to be able to name those things because I'm still stuck in another decade, really. So for me, that was one of the challenges that I had was to really be able to go within and to be able to recognize the changes that are occurring in my life now that I'm 52 years old. What's different about me, what's new about me, what has evolved and what has transformed. And so I'm really getting to know myself at this point, getting to know myself again. And Andy discussed some things because it's just the opposite for her. She
Yeah,
goes within.
I go within very easily, but my tendency is to take myself apart, and it's not introspection as much as it is being self-critical. And looking at my behaviors with a critical eye and dissecting it to the point of distraction. And because of that, I had a very hard time coming up with a way to describing myself.
Yeah, and we figured that in sharing these things that it would help you to come to some conclusions as to why it was such a challenge for you to do this particular exercise as well. Because for one of us, it's hard to go within. For the other, it is easy to go within, but she's going in with the critical eye. And I think that a lot of us, when we do go within, we're going within not to see what can be healed or what can be loved, but what can be fixed about us that's so wrong. And this is where the shadow comes in, because it can make you feel as if those aspects of yourself are quote unquote wrong
Or
and
not good enough.
not good enough.
Yeah.
Needing to be fixed, needing to be repaired. And so the exercise was to get beyond that point and to be able to describe yourself as a whole, because we are into the section of the class now where we're talking about integration and about being able to integrate the aspects of the shadow into the whole self so that we can truly say that we love ourselves. We can't truly say that we love ourselves if we take the shadow aspects, those things that we feel are bad or wrong or things we don't understand or don't like. If we push those things to the side, we can't say that we truly love ourselves until we integrate that and integrate those aspects of the shadow so that we can love ourselves as a whole and learn how to use every aspect and every characteristic and every personality trait for our good. So we wanted to share our challenges with you. And feel free, if you're on Instagram and you're in the class or you want to join the class, DM us at I Wonder Sisters on Instagram, and you can certainly join the class at any point, and we'll catch you up. It is organically done, so there's no session that just gives you a week. We've been on this one for like about 3 weeks or more because it's been so challenging for everybody. So it's an organic class. So you can start from the beginning and communicate with us through Instagram at I Wonder Sisters on Instagram. Okay. Um, Also, I want to talk about focusing on what is wrong with us, that we need to really, really check ourselves when it comes to realizing that every time we focus on ourselves, that we're checking for things that are wrong or checking for things that are faulty or that we feel need to be fixed about ourselves. And I think it's something that we need to become more conscious of, more aware of, that we are not needing to be our own judges all the time. That we need to realize that there are parts of us that certainly need to be healed, and there are parts of us that require love, and love heals. And so we need to be more aware of when we do go within, that we're not just focusing on what we feel are faults or what we feel are things that are faulty about us, about ourselves. So I wanted to mention that. Number two, what can we do to get to know ourselves better? And there's a million ways we can do this, but we discussed some things like spending more time alone, spending time in meditation.
Take yourself on a date.
Yes.
Go out with yourself one afternoon. You can go to a museum or go to a cafe, bring a notebook and a writing implement.
Yes.
And just spend time with you and enjoy it.
Yes, exactly.
Like that person.
Exactly. And that time alone is so necessary and so sacred, that many of us neglected because of our lifestyles. We're always surrounded by people. Usually if you go out to work or whether you stay home and work as we do, in some way you're either on social media or you're talking to friends and family or communicating with neighbors or whatever it may be. And so it's hard sometimes to just pull away, but that pulling away is necessary, even if it's just at bedtime or before bedtime, which is what I do. If I feel myself getting tired, I'll take some time before bedtime to do something that I just want to do, whether it be watch a YouTube video, something that I'm interested in, or watch some other kind of video, or read a paragraph or two of a book or something like that, which I'm starting to do at night, or just being alone, just being, being to myself for a few minutes before I fall asleep. So there's always a space during the day where you can fit that in for yourself. If you have kids, sometimes nighttime before bed might be the only time that you can do that, or early in the morning as well is another time that I utilize to just be and move about as myself and not as a sister or friend or a mate or neighbor or whatever, all these titles that we take on and which involve other people. And so it's good to make that time sacred.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any other thing that you can think of about how to get to know yourself better? I think creativity is one as well.
Yeah, explore what you like to do to express yourself. We all express ourselves differently. Some of us do it in writing, some of us do it visually, some of us do it with our hands. Um, there are many, many ways to tell the world who you are and to tell your story beyond just speaking. And you should explore all those possibilities within yourself and find what feels the most fulfilling for you and what feels the most rewarding.
Yes,
And
exactly.
also what comes easiest.
Yes.
Sometimes what comes easiest is your way. And so don't shy away from it just because it's simpler for you to do it that way. It could be your great path to self expression.
Yes, exactly. And I think it's so important what Andy said about having it be easy and having it be enjoyable to
Mm-hmm.
you, in the ways that you express yourself. I've been using Pinterest boards and things like that. For some people, journaling is very enjoyable and very healing for them. And so writing it out is something that is special to them. Making a video, creating photography, which one of our students is doing. And so any way that brings you joy, and like Andy said, that does come with ease, don't shy away from that just because it comes with ease to you. It may just mean that that's your way of expressing yourself and describing yourself and getting to know who you really are at this point in your life.
Mm-hmm.
So we just want to say hello. We see we have 2 live visitors, and you'll have to excuse us for not using the chat. We're just getting used to using this live. So forgive us, but we like to say hello and welcome and thank you very much. So, any way that you can think of that is inspiring to you creatively to help you get to know yourself better is the way for you. Don't try to take on somebody else's form of creativity if it's uncomfortable or you find it difficult or hard to do, then that means that it's not your way. So find your way of doing it. It may be art, it may be making a collage, it may be doing a painting. If that's a skill that you have or talent that you've acquired, then do that.
It could be knitting. It could be keeping plants in your house and tending to them every day.
Yes, exactly. Being a part of nature,
Mm-hmm.
as well. So those are some of the ways in which you can get to know yourself better. And a lot of those ways include spending time alone and spending time with yourself, because you're never alone. You're always with aspects of yourself, really,
Mm-hmm.
you know. For number 3, and then there was something else. Oh, and I jotted down just simply paying more attention to ourselves. We get so busy doing that we're not being. Paying more attention to who we are and how we've changed and how we've grown and how we've evolved. Just paying more attention to yourself in general, as to how different you may be from last year or 5 years ago or a decade ago or yesterday, even. The things that go on in our lives change us constantly, and we try to stay stuck in one place doing one thing, where playing the guitar might have been something that you enjoyed and wanted to do 10 years ago, but maybe now it could be something totally different. It could be sculpting, it could be photography, it could be writing, it could be speaking, it could be blogging. So pay attention to yourself and see what inspires you and what really lights the fire within you.
I think it's important also to check in with yourself often during the course of a day to see how you're feeling. How do I feel right this moment? What is going on inside me that is making me tick right now?
Yeah.
And we don't do enough of that. And I think that's why we sometimes go through life unconsciously and don't, well, like Rain said, pay attention to ourselves. And there are many selves.
Yes. And it takes that exploration to find that out. It takes that time, alone, exploring, to really, really find that there are many, many parts of you, many aspects of yourself. It takes a lot of going within. And for those of you who may have a difficult time, like myself, bless you,
Thank you.
of going within, just taking a few minutes is good to start with. You don't need to be like a meditation guru where you start off with trying to meditate for 45 minutes. That's something that I have yet to reach and don't know if I ever will. But I can now take 5 minutes to do that, to just be alone and to just sit still. Also, what I find that helps me, being a person that finds it difficult to meditate, is also guided meditations, because I feel a part of it, and I feel that it's something a bit active that I can listen to and follow. And so if you're having trouble just sitting still or sitting in silence, try guided meditations as well. They can be very helpful for those of us who find our minds to be too busy to just be, and we can get into a zone with that. Chanting is good too, as well, to find a chant. And there's plenty of that on YouTube that you can get to, that will help you to learn how to chant if you've never chanted before. But it is something that is a bit active that you can participate in and still get into that zone of being with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And then we talked a bit about this, about being open and creative and not blocking yourself. This is for you. Okay, this is for you and your shadow, so that you can come together as a whole being. And we want you to know that this exercise is for you to not think about what people might like to hear or see from you, but that this exercise was for you to please yourself, to get to know yourself, to describe yourself in your way. And no one can negate how you feel about you. You know, that's something that I think people should know. You
Mm-hmm.
know, that this is for you. This is not about, oh, well, my friends wouldn't think of me that way. You know, you might write down something or draw something that's funny, and then you might say, oh, but people have always taken me very seriously. I'm a very serious person to other people. But to you, you're a funny person. Maybe you find it easy to laugh at yourself. And so, funny is an aspect of yourself that you know about, that you experience. So it's not for you to worry about what other people will think of you or what other people will think about your description of yourself. This exercise was for you to enjoy, to explore, and to really go deep inside and see what you think about you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so I think that a lot of people, um, you know, and I think you would agree, would be sometimes concentrating on what other people might think. And sometimes I do that when I go through little tests or quizzes and stuff online. And I'll think, you know, they'll ask me a question like, what would you do in this circumstance? You know, are you this? Are you loyal? Are you these things? And I'll think, I don't know, because I'm thinking about what other people might think about me,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And so I don't know if you have that issue or not.
Yeah, sure. I think we all do. We all come at describing ourselves through the eyes of others. And that can be very misleading. Um, you know, if you look at what essence, one person goes out of the room, the remaining people pick one person who's going to be the subject. And then the person who left the room comes back and tries to guess who the subject is by asking questions like, if this person were a color, what color would they be? And everybody in the room gets to name a color. And you'd be surprised how many different colors you'd be
Mhm.
named. And if we go by what other people think, we lose touch with how we feel. It's very easy, I think, to put the onus of responsibility for describing ourselves on others and not take the reins ourselves, because we may come off as arrogant,
Yes.
conceited, angry,
Mhm.
all different kinds of things that we might then attribute to our shadows.
Yes.
And that's a waste of your time. You're here to explore who you are in your total self. And if you focus on what other people think, you're missing the point. Other people think a whole lot of things that have nothing to do with how you really are. You know what
Mhm.
I mean?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And that's why it's so important that you do this exercise for yourself and that you separate that feeling of wanting to describe yourself through the mirror of others, and that the mirror that you look into be one of total honesty and total pureness of looking at yourself through your own mind's eye and through your own eyes, and seeing what you see about you, which is most valid, because who we are is not also always who we share with the world,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
That's very true.
We'll talk about that a little bit in another video, I think, because who we share with the world sometimes comes from being protective,
Mhm.
protecting ourselves. And so there are aspects of ourselves that we tend to only show to the world. And then once we feel safe and we're at home and we're at home with people that we're at home with, that we can truly be those other things that we are. So everything that we are is not something that we share with the world. So trying to describe yourself through the world is going to be challenging and difficult if that's what you're trying to do, because that's not all of who you are. And I think for the majority of us, we do try to show certain aspects to the world to protect ourselves, and that is
Mhm.
totally understandable.
Yeah.
Totally. So that's all we wanted to really say today about session 5. Once again, this class is called Bold Love. It is learning how to love your whole self through the exploration of your shadow aspects, the things about yourself that you feel are quote unquote bad, you don't like, you don't understand. Other people have told you that it's bad, all of that. Okay, so if you want to join the class, DM us at I Wonder Sisters on Instagram, and we can get you into the class. And it is basically self-paced and organic. As we said, we flow as everybody flows. Okay, and so we'll be having session 6 is going up to session 8, and we'll be having session 6 on Instagram very shortly to let you know what that is as we move forward in this integration part of Bold Love. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.